Hi everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Well, it's a really cold and dreary day outside today, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to show you some of my amaryllis that are blooming at the moment, and to also talk about my number one nemesis when it comes to growing amaryllis, and that is fungus gnats. So have you seen small flying insects around your house? Maybe they're fluttering and hovering around lights, windows, or illuminated electronic devices in the evening. Well, you could have fungus gnats, and they really are quite a nuisance, but luckily there's an easy organic control to get rid of them for good. And so I've been taking some video for you guys over the last 3 weeks just to show the steps I take to get this problem under control. Because once you have fungus gnats set up in your planting medium, they can tend to boom overnight, mainly because one adult female fungus gnat can lay 200 eggs in her short week lifespan. So it's easy to see why a small infestation can become a huge population seemingly overnight. So before we discuss control, let's just talk about the fungus gnat's life cycle and why they were attracted to our plants in the first place. Because often prevention is a lot easier and also better than control. So let's just talk about the life cycle of a fungus gnat. A fungus gnat is a dark-bodied flying insect that's about 1/8 of an inch in length, and it goes through complete metamorphosis. So we have the egg, larva, pupa, and adult stage, and in this case, our adult flies. How wonderful, a flying adult pest, my favorite. The adult females lay their eggs into the moist soil, and then they emerge as larvae in 4 to 6 days. These larvae are slender, legless maggots, essentially, with translucent bodies and dark heads. These larvae are what really do the damage. They feed on fungi, decaying plant matter, and plant roots in the soil for approximately 2 weeks before pupating, and then 3 to 6 days later, they turn into adults. And since an entire life cycle can be completed in 3 to 4 weeks, you can have overlapping generations of fungus gnats in your planting medium and hovering around the planting medium as adults. And basically, you get into this cycle where it feels like you just never get them under control. And what we really need to do is attack multiple life stages in order to really get that fungus gnat problem under control for good. Now, plants suffering from fungus gnat larvae feeding will often display signs of wilting, loss of vigor, and even yellowing. And a small infestation is rarely a problem, and it's easy to get them under control. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But a really large infestation where the larvae are feeding on lots of roots all over, say, a production facility can really be a serious problem. But luckily, there are a lot of preventative steps that we can take to avoid the fungus gnats setting up shop to begin with. So the first preventative step is to avoid overwatering and to allow the planting medium to dry between waterings, because wet soil is really fungus gnat central. It's what they love and it's what they need. So water only as needed, and then in between waterings, make sure you allow the top 1 to 2 inches of soil to dry before watering again. My next tip is to always use new high quality potting soil whenever you're potting up bulb gardens, house plants, or maybe beautiful terrariums that you're creating. Avoid using any kind of garden soil. Cocoa coir, peat moss, all of those things hold moisture and bring in bugs into your home in some situations. So just use new, high quality potting soil right from the start. Preventative tip number 3 is to provide good drainage, which is what I did not do in this particular pot that you're seeing footage of. So I did have a fungus gnat infestation in this planter. I had this idea for a beautiful window box inside full of amaryllis and berries and pine cones, but I forgot to take my own advice, and what I should have done was either drilled holes in this window box before I planted it so it had good drainage, or I should have planted it in a plastic container with lots of good drainage and then sunk that into my final kind of aesthetic planter. That way I could have lifted my plastic pot out of the cover pot, watered it, let it drain out, and then put it back into the cover pot for display purposes. But I didn't take my own advice seriously enough. I always tend to do this, especially around the holidays when I'm going for a certain look. And that's why I got fungus gnats in this situation. I didn't provide good drainage, and that really is key. Tip number 4 is to take care of any clogged drains or leaks. These are areas that trap moisture and they kind of have dirt and debris and decaying organic matter, and the fungus gnats can set up shop there as well. So take care of that if you're like me and you tend to have those issues in your home. And lastly, just be fussy about where you buy your plants from. Don't feel bad about examining the planting medium, looking to see if fungus gnats and fungus gnat larvae are present in the soil before purchasing, and also look at the planting medium itself when you visit a nursery. Most of the time, a nursery is going to be using high quality potting soil. But what I've often seen when I go to grocery stores or big box stores is that some of these things, especially Amaryllis, are planted completely in coco coir, which once again, coco coir is great, but it really holds the moisture. And so that can be a problem right from the start. And you might bring home a plant that has fungus gnat larvae in it and not even be aware of it. So take a little time, take a little care. Don't be embarrassed to really check out your plants before bringing them home. Now, even if you take all of these preventative steps, you may still see fungus gnats in your home because they can travel in on just about anything, on your clothes, your pets, your shoes, your groceries. So don't feel bad at all if you have fungus gnats. So many of us have experienced this. So the way to go about controlling them organically is to address both the flying adults and the larvae. So for the flying adults, I use yellow sticky traps. You can buy these probably at a nursery, a seed store. I just buy them on Amazon. I think they come in packs of 24 for $5, but you just peel it off like a sticker, stick it right into your planting medium. And then the flying adults will be attracted to this yellow sticky trap and get stuck to it, therefore perishing. But it's super important that we also address the larvae because the sticky trap won't take care of the larvae problem. Now, to control the fungus gnat larvae, I use a hydrogen peroxide solution. 1 part hydrogen peroxide to 3 parts water, and I'm using 3% hydrogen peroxide in this solution. So whenever I would normally water my plants, wherever the outbreak is, so the outbreak was right here on this Amaryllis planter with 5 Amaryllis bulbs, every week that I would go to water, I would water with this solution. That takes care of the fungus gnat larvae. It also is an antifungal, so it's going to take care of fungus in the soil for me, and it's going to oxygenate the soil. So the hydrogen peroxide solution takes care of the larvae, the sticky trap takes care of the adults, and I will just continue doing this method until I see that I no longer have a fungus gnat issue around that plant. Which for me, I had a pretty severe infestation on these Amaryllis. That took 3 waterings, and I water my Amaryllis once a week, so essentially it took 3 weeks until I was seeing almost no adults flying anywhere in my home. And the great thing too about using sticky traps is you can use them for management. So you can know, how good is it working? How many are you trapping? The first week that I had a trap out, it was covered in fungus gnats, really gross. Just dispose of it. Pop in another one, and that way too you'll be able to see what the level is. Are you at a tolerable level yet? Can you back off with the hydrogen peroxide solution or not? So guys, I really hope this video has been helpful and given you a way to control fungus gnats without the use of harsh chemicals and pesticides. And until next time, happy gardening. Bye.